Hello everyone, welcome back. You are here at ESA Marathon watching Break the Record Live, featuring Dark Souls Remastered, the all bosses magic route, where over the course of 3 days, 7 runners attempt to break the world record, and claim the highest standing and win a portion of a $5,000 prize pool generously provided by our sponsor Kaspersky. We actually just saw before the break, Olsku take the second place standing away from Dan with a very neat run, grabbing himself a 103.11 and the $1,000 prize pool. We're currently on day 2 of 3 of Break the Record Live, where you'll see just how hard of a speed game Dark Souls can be. The runners finding many opportunities to reset to make sure that they get on the pace that they need. We're currently watching Catalyst and his run-in to see whether he can beat his own event time and his world record. But my name is Ashwin, and I will be joined along for this segment with an amazing Speedsouls member who goes by the name Ben. Ben, I'm so glad to have you here. How are you doing?
It's a pleasure to be here. I am great. How are you doing?
Fantastic. I'm just sipping on a drink and enjoying these runs. We've been getting some really good quality runs.
Taking your own advice, staying hydrated. That's the best way to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently really enjoying Kata's run right now. Just as we came back, he had a really clean 1 king, and he's on his way into Priscilla and Gwendolyn right now. We talked quite a bit yesterday about how Gwendolyn is usually, in my experiences, like my main experiences with Prepare to Die edition rather than remaster.
Mm-hmm.
And Gwendolyn in a lot of melee builds, like for example in the old bosses run in that category, is a huge run killer. But because they're using magic, Regal filled me in yesterday that it actually is quite a lot easier. It's not easy by any means, as you were saying earlier. Dark Souls is still, regardless of whether you play remaster or not, is a very tricky run. But thankfully, some bosses can mess you up a lot less in this route.
Right, and you have the added benefit of a strong magic shield here, which kind of like, is a good thing to have when dealing against bosses that cast magic. So that's always a strategy that you can use against Gwendolyn. But it all comes down to the cycle and like what kind of RNG he gives you, and like just sort of approaching the boss in general. But a lot of people, I think, would probably have this misconception that just because these runners are one-shotting bosses, that it's an easy run. But no, there's a lot involved, and it takes quite a bit to do what they're doing. It might look like it's just one-shotting a boss, but there's movement and so much tech involved, minding like ring swaps, so many things that are at play to make these fights as clean as they are.
Dark Souls is like a minority mechanical skill once you've learned the bosses and how to react. But then the majority of what separates the men from the boys, or the good players from the bad players, the English Bens from the Regals, so to speak, is how to deal with every possible thing that can go wrong. Learning the different backups, how to deal with certain like when bosses troll you, how to set up RTSR in a million different ways just in case your health total is low because you get owned by a dog on the way to Calamite. Just all sorts of really tiny things like that. And this is what you're seeing here with Catalyst. Catalyst is mainly a Prepare to Die edition runner, but he came along and stormed onto the remastered scene after dominating Prepare to Die edition for years. And a huge thing about Catalyst that he told me is that he never actually properly played a lot of this game before he started speedrunning. Mm-hmm. He picked it up mainly as a speedrun title.
That's
and usually
very interesting to see.
Usually that is a recipe for disaster with such a game like this, where there's so many things that you can learn. But Kata is a complete exception. Like, he has an incredible amount of knowledge.
I think it is like, some people might argue that maybe his like basic knowledge of Dark Souls when he was like first starting off was a bit weak, and it showed sometimes, but he has more than like compensated for that.
Exactly. The rise to the top has been insane for Kata. Usually you would see a lot of mechanical skill from these types, but then less so that kind of Regal tier, knowing everything there is about the game, because he doesn't have that casual experience. But Kata made up for that massively.
Oh, This Gwendolyn not working out the best for him, but he still manages to get the one shot and sneak away there. He also actually did a really interesting technique there with Priscilla. Generally, you quit out to sort of like make sure that you don't get that moon glitch with Priscilla, but he doesn't even. He's not even,
He doesn't
quitting
care.
out. Yeah, but
Yeah.
interesting enough, he did the same thing today to try and salvage a run that he was at a bad pace on, and it only saves like 0.2. It wasn't even like much of a save to not quit out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kata's taking all the risks that he can to see if he can get some rewards.
Kata is notorious for doing that kind of thing, doing insanely risky strategies until he becomes consistent at them, regardless of the time that he saves. And I think that's totally okay, especially when he's already got a 102. He's already in first place, so he can afford to play more risky. He doesn't have anyone that he's trailing right now.
That's
Whereas
absolutely
if
fair.
I was someone like Dan, or like Iron Boy, Mintius, or anything like that, I would focus a lot more on consistency to get that time down, and try and reset as less as possible. But if I'm Kata, I'm trying to get that perfect run tonight, and I'm trying to solidify myself to a point where no one can even try to beat it.
So speaking of like solidifying, he's heading into his favorite segment, Gaping Dragon.
Yeah, so this is one of the biggest segments that we were talking about earlier. With who is it? The name Olsku, right?
Also, yes.
Yeah, Olsku was showing how even as a super experienced remastered runner, this out of bounds and getting onto the railing, especially at the end after such a long segment, is really tricky to do. So we'll see how well Cat does.
Dan was also practicing it during this event as well, but we don't know how much practice is going to help. Oh, first try. That must feel good.
As we say that, like, Kata just absolutely nails it.
Yeah, that must feel good for Kata. Like, just knowing that that's, like, done and over with. And he can just focus on the rest of the run as well.
Yeah, certainly not over yet, but that is one of the biggest hurdles out of the way, so he must be feeling pretty good about that.
Let's see. He did nice time save.
Yep.
Now 11 seconds ahead here.
Yeah, pretty much on par with gold there, so couldn't really get much better.
Yeah, let's take a look. Yeah. He did definitely gain time from his PB, obviously. Oh, but if you look at his stats for this event, 46 attempted runs, only 2 completed. Like you said, he has nothing to lose in this like first place standing. He just wants to get those good runs out.
Exactly. It's worth pointing out as well, if you look onto the splits, he doesn't have a lot of time to save here, so he just has to play opt. Like, he has 2 seconds against gold in Nito. He has a second in Quelag. and then basically none for the rest of the run. Like,
it's rough.
Yeah, exactly. Like, his end game is super clean in his run that he's compared against.
His best possible being a 102.17. And his personal best being a 102.34. So if all goes well, I mean, Nito can still be bad. We can get a lot of screams from Nito.
I've seen that a lot.
Like some bad RNG, like jumping away, behaving a little bit weirdly. That could happen.
Yep.
But
Better
pretty
Chaos
much,
Firestorm.
I mean but we're not talking about just like RNG of a run. We're talking about just like, not a sense of like the fight itself, but like just some bad things that could happen after the fight. But during the fights, like some of these could be like some time losses. So let's hope they go optimally for him.
Yeah. So even though it seems that he's a nice chunk ahead, he can't afford to make any mistakes. His PB is too good in the late game.
It's hard to run against these splits, I have to say. Like, he could gold for sure, but how much margin he has for that, it's hard. Like, I would say Kata is probably having the hardest time in this event, trying to get that record, keep his spots.
Yeah, a lot of pressure, so definitely on him to perform, especially when you are the best player ranked, but then you have so many players that could dethrone you at any second. That's the scariest part.
Like, we just saw Olsku almost overthrow him.
Exactly. We have several runners here that any of their runs can be sub-Kata pace at any time.
Yeah, and a lot of
I
them.
was just looking across there, and I saw Nax failing the depths out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Very tough. Wildcat is running to Nito. Very tough, but as you can see, like even the best players can fail it a lot, and it is a place where a lot of time loss can happen. So huge amount of pressure on the runners getting to this point, especially when it's almost 50 minutes into the run, and then it can just all go downhill.
I'm a little sad because in all this, like, watching Kata, seeing his good pace play out, I missed how Iron Boy's run died. Because he had a solid run that was going as well. And, like, I feel like Kata and Iron Boy are kind of like the grinders of this event. They've really just been trying to get all those runs, as many runs as possible in. And Iron Boy, actually, I want to say almost finishing the most runs possible. How many runs has Iron Boy finished this event?
It was a lot differently. I think he finished 5 yesterday alone.
Yeah,
which is crazy. That's over 5 hours worth of just no resets.
And 2 today. So, yeah. He can work hard, and he's possible of getting 4th place, but
yeah,
it might happen. We might see that. All right. Nito did give him a scream there, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a decent fight overall, and he lost about a second. So there definitely is gold potential there.
Coming up on the Koilag, just segment followed by the Isolus segment, with a whole bunch of bosses that you won't see reflected on his splits. But he will face Ceaseless Discharge, he'll face Fire Sage, Centipede Demon, and finally Bed of Chaos before he makes his way to Gwyn.
Yeah, it's one long continuous segment where there isn't that many points where you can split and not have them be, inconsistent or inaccurate. So most runners will just have a split for Bed of Chaos, and they'll just run all the way through Isolith after Ceaseless.
After Quailag, because I want to see how Quailag performs with him, I might hop over to Nax, because Nax has, like, a race that's a run that's kind of like coming to completion as well on a Nito segment, making his way as well to Quailag and whatnot. So we have like 2 runs that might just finish here. Yep. And I kind of want to see how Nax is doing, because it seems like he was in the reds for a while, but managing to make it into the greens again.
Yeah, and especially though he ended up dropping a lot of time on the gaping segment, but his PB did the same thing, so he still managed to go into the green. And he's honestly not that much further behind either. Like, Nax's run is like a mid 104, I think. So yeah, he can definitely PB this.
Let's see. And take a look at the stats of Nax here. If you guys actually want to check some of these stats out and get more details on them, you can head over to twitch.tv/ESA Marathon 2. Yes, there is a second channel where you'll be able to see these stats up in full scale for you to be able to keep tabs on.
It's also possible to watch them in squad mode. I believe that they're doing a squad stream. Yeah. I've never actually used that feature myself, so I'm not sure how good it is, but maybe worth a shot if you want to watch them, in the same browser. And you can have the stats on the side rather than having 2 different windows open.
I believe it might make some of these windows small because there's so many runner screens up. But yeah, it's worth a shot.
Yeah, put them up on your big 70-inch plasma TV, and you can see them both just fine in all their glory.
All right, Kata manages to finish up Quailag. Let's see how he does after the split, and then we're gonna be hopping over to Nax. All right, Kata. Still okay. Still about the same pace, slightly faster.
Yeah, you can see every loss or gain at this point is vital. Any point, 0.5 seconds here or there is going to make all the difference for Kata, because that's just how optimized. Yeah, exactly. Just how optimized it is at this point.
He's almost like matching all his best possibles, and that's what he's racing against now. His best possibles, and he's doing quite great right now. So yeah, let's hop over to Nax right now. He's about to do the Nito fight. Let's see what kind of RNG Nito gives him. Does he get an instantaneous scream? Yes, he does.
Scream.
Ooh.
Yep. But that block is super awesome. It's the first time I'd seen it yesterday. The block where you don't even have to dodge, where you just hold a catalyst and block. It's super awesome.
It's because of the 2-handed stance in Dark Souls being just slightly wider than the hitbox of that scream. But that fight still went well, despite that scream to start with.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Losing just a tiny bit of time with that
the
scream.
scream isn't too bad, especially with that strat where you can just stop for a few seconds, dodge it and then carry on. It's not the end of the world.
I think it's the endless screams that really make it.
Yeah, exactly. Any kind of endless attack that you have to dodge is always pretty much GG, but one is winnable.
Good to see Dan here, also making his way to Sense Fortress, and hopefully get a run going.
Yeah, every time I've looked towards his screen he's been in kill cam, so he's definitely getting really consistent runs, at least up until Sens. I'm not sure if they're dropping on ONS or what. Obviously, when there's so many different streams to watch, there's only so many we can watch at once. But I'll try and keep my eye on Dan as well to see where he's dropping.
All right, back to Catalyst now.
Yeah, for now, all eyes have to be on Kata at this point.
Yeah, it's the home stretch here.
Yeah, 2 bosses left.
It would be a really shame. Yeah, it's gonna be Fire Sage.
Fire Siege, Centipede.
Bed of Chaos.
Yeah.
Fire Sage, Centipede, Bed of Chaos, and then Gwyn.
I always forget which order it is. There's a lot of bosses in this segment.
I wish it was the Fire Sage where we get to clip through the elevator, but unfortunately that has been fixed in the remastered. Yep. You don't get to land on Fire Sage's head and just sort of fight him.
That's a really cool strat, especially because the biggest thing about the strat is it's one of those ones where the stars just happen to align. Because a big thing about the Fire Sage is that it's basically a copy and pasted Asylum Demon. So that means that it also has the mechanic where you can plunge it from like a jumping attack. And if FromSoft wasn't so lazy and they didn't copy and paste the Asylum Demon down here, you wouldn't be able to do that because you wouldn't be able to break your fall with the lunge. So it's really fortunate that it actually works out that way.
Catalyst does the plunge. Style points go to Catalyst.
Regal is smiling right now. Somewhere there's a smile on that young man's face.
But I think the style points will kind of really go down to whether Kata lands the turkey bombs, because he's missed them. He's never missed them in the remastered, but I think Duck today was talking about what if he misses them in the remastered. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
I have to quickly reload next. I thought he'd gone off for a second, but I think it was just my Twitch stream dying. He is back on my end. Never mind.
Yes. So the way the Bed of Chaos fight works is you kind of just line up in a particular position, and we use the fire bombs that we got as a starting gift and toss one in one direction, toss one in another direction. It has to be precise. We use the head of the character to line up. It's harder than doing it with a bow and reticle. And then just managing to hope that you don't get firestormed and AoE attacked by Bed of Chaos on your way down to kill the Bed of Chaos with a Dark Bead. And, get the heck out and on your way to Gwyn.
Yeah, so the boss is kind of a gimmick boss. There isn't actually a fight. It's more of like an arena challenge. So the floor is constantly breaking around you, and the intention is that you're supposed to go from one side to the other and break these little circles of life or whatever. I'm not too familiar with the lore of it, but basically there's 2 big like power things, and you've got to destroy them on each side. And usually you would have to go from one side and then dodge all the falling floor, breaking around you and that kind of stuff. But the best thing about the fire bombs, call them the Tolkien, is that you can just do it remotely right from the front of the boss. And then you can immediately break through and one-shot the boss in the middle. So this like minimizes the amount of time that you can possibly get hit with an attack such as the Firestorm, but it's still absolutely possible that you can hit both bombs absolutely perfectly and then get hit with the Firestorm regardless. Yeah. We saw it happen to Nax yesterday when he was on PB pace on the final run before, it was just him left and it was past the break-off point, so this was it all or nothing for Nax. Argik had bet 160,000 channel points in a prediction, and then we see him get Firestormed. He did the fight perfectly, but there was nothing he could do. Firestorm, it's over.
Yeah.
So I really hope that doesn't happen. Yeah.
So let's see the pacing of Kata right now, because we have him on the main screen right now, because you know what, Kata might bring this home. Let's find
Yeah.
out. A best possible time of 102.23. This has to go well for Kata.
Yeah,
He
there
could
is absolutely no time safe here. Like his PB is gold in
he
both of these
could
splits.
he
Pretty
could
much.
world record, because his world record is a 102.34.
Yeah.
If all goes right,
Yeah.
he
He's
could
10
grab
seconds
this.
ahead of that right now.
And if he doesn't, that's okay. He will still get an event PB.
That's
But
one bomb.
what he's aiming for right now, everybody,
Two.
world record. Let's hope the firestorm doesn't come. 3 runners have already been firestormed. Oh,
He's dodged it.
What?
I have to hold my breath.
What was that? Oh my god. That was horrifying to see. He's so relieved he did not die there, but that was incredibly scary.
So he did lose a few seconds, but this is still record pace.
That was a very concerning moment. My heart just stopped for Catalyst.
I had to hold my breath.
I was like talking about how many runners have been firestormed this event, and I was like, it was flashing between like before my eyes. The 4th firestorm was oncoming, and I don't think I have words in me anymore.
The biggest thing about the firestorm is that you can see where it's about to hit you, but sometimes, you know, because there's so many in so many different places, you have no choice but to get hit. Like there is nowhere you can possibly stand in such a small place. But luckily, Kata was able to like matrix dodge all those firestorms.
Dodged all those bullets. He is the one.
Exactly. Yep.
Ooh, he's just gonna keep going. He did not get the RTSR set up from the Knight, but he knows this is it now. So the difference between the Gwyn fight without RTSR is 3 hits versus 1. Unfortunate he didn't get that perfect setup for the Knights, but you know what? Let's find out. It might be very close. I mean, his predicted time...
This is going to be really tight.
...is 102.27. He might not get the world record. I don't know. Well, let's find out. It's possible that the world record just got snatched away in that instant there, especially with the avoiding the firestorm.
102.27 definitely isn't possible, but...
But 102.34? Getting under 102.34? Yeah, let's find out.
It's all going to come down to the fight.
It depends on like how Gwyn behaves, because there's a possibility he does something really bad since he has to do 3 hits versus 1.
Yep.
Man, this is cutting it really close. He might not get it. We'll see.
I'm gonna hold my breath again.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Plunge. Come on, Gwyn. 1 hop from Gwyn. Come on, Kata. It all comes down. It all comes down to this bonfire. This might be it. Oh my god.
102.34 to beat.
He's doing it! He got the world record! That is it! That is the world record! 102.30, beating it by 4 seconds.
And look at the reaction. That is the first time you've seen Kata like that whole run.
To bring that run home after that near firestorm death, that is absolutely incredible. Well done to Catalyst. Cementing that 1st place, getting the world record. Like, he beat the world record. He's so over the moon right now, just screaming into his mic. Wow. That was incredible.
Now you see his current PB on YouTube is listed as like the most clutch Dark Souls speedrun ever. Now he's going to have to rename that to the 2nd most clutch Dark Souls speedrun ever and upload this one as the new most clutch speedrun ever.
That's gonna be his new YouTube title. Look, he's scanning through his splits and just taking a look at like what happened. I don't know if he's very happy with that run. I kind of want to find out from him how he feels about it. But I think
I would definitely guess not. You know, he's a perfectionist. I don't think he'll settle for this.
I don't think no. That's the thing with Kata. Like, can't expect him to settle. He might, like, he still has, like, old school on his tail. Still has Dan or Nax that could potentially catch up. So he has a lot to work towards. But he has a victory for tonight and today. But you know what? Nax, Nax is about to finish a run as well, so let's hop over to Nax. Even with all of our energy on Kata right now, getting the world record. Let's see, what is Nax looking like right now? Crazy. So his best event time is a 104.26. All right.
Yep.
His personal best is also a 104.26 because he set a PB yesterday.
And
His
this
best
is
possible
potential
time.
for sub this.
104.08. So let's hope that this is really like back-to-back action, that he gets the RTSR setup that he needs here. Please get a PB next. All right. Gets the RTSR setup a little bit slow, but that is okay.
Yeah. It's all good to lose the second also here. It saves time over. So.
I don't know about everyone who's watching this, but my heart is beating out of my chest. Ben, you're calm and collected. I'm
calm and collected. The tactic is to hold your breath, so your heart rate slows down. That's what I always do. Whenever it starts, I'm just nice and calm.
All right. That's what Nax needs right now. Just
it's easy for me to say when I'm not on the run of my life and I'm just sat here watching. You know?
I feel a lot for speedrunners. Like, I've been on the end commentating with people. I've been on the end of speedrunning myself. My heart is generally leaping out of my chest at that point. So like, I feel for runners. I feel for like just for myself in that moment.
All right, let's see. I'm interested in how next fares.
Nax is gonna get an event.
Nope. no.
The first die took a win. Oh my god.
Oh dear. We can add next to the total people who have choked that parry at ESA from Dark Souls.
It's kind of like funny because all like event we've been talking about, it's it's not as bad as it looks. It's a straightforward parry and a beat, and we're done.
It is the last thing that you can mess up, so it is the most easily chokeable thing.
I am so sorry, Nax. that must be heartbreaking. Buddy. That's heartbreaking because Nax had that run with Firestorm yesterday. Nax had this run that could have, PB'd as well.
But that is speedrunning for you. It's not over until the fat lady sings, It's
right,
not over until it's done.
It's good to see that, like, back to back with Catalyst and Nax, to see like how things can go wrong, how it plays out. Just holding your breath for them. We're gonna swap back over now to Iron Boy. Give Nax a bit of a breather to see what he's going to be doing. Whether he's going to be continuing with those runs or taking a bit of a break. So Ben, since your heart is not hammering out of your chest, what do you think about Iron Boy's run?
So, I just saw him get trolled by the Painted Guardians on rafters, which is as a classic. The biggest issue with Painted Guardians on the rafters is that there is no room to get around them. So if they decide to come and chase you down, you have a couple of options. You can try and like bash them out the way and hope you knock them off, which then you can potentially get knocked off. You can kill them, but then you have to wait for them to like be fully dead before you can run past them because their hitboxes are still active. And neither of them are good. So, and it's also possible to get hit by a like throwing knife as you're climbing up the ladder, and then you'll get killed later on because you don't have enough health. So yeah, it's a very small thing, like a very tiny section, but it is petrifying.
Ben, I have some pretty interesting news for you here. We are actually going to have a chance to speak to the world record holder and interview him during the segment.
Boy.
I'm going to be pulling over our boy Catalyst right now to see how he feels about his record and what he has to say. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interesting questions that we have for him. 1 second, let me just drag Catalyst in. Hello, Catalyst.
Hello.
Congratulations on that world record.
Thank you very much.
Team Kata, woo! Yeah.
I don't know if you were listening to the stream, but my heart was leaping out of my chest for you, especially with a firestorm.
Oh man, like I don't really know. I was in that moment. I was like, if I get a firestorm now, it would be unfortunate. And then I got it, and I was like, it's over. And then I survived, and I was like,
this is indeed unfortunate.
Yeah. It was it's quite something. It's definitely nerve-wracking. Like I'm a very calm person normally,
I was about
but
to ask that.
being alone, like I was just listening to a podcast. I guess I gotta buy Neil deGrasse Tyson's books now because I was listening to him on
Oh,
Joe Rogan.
okay.
Yeah,
Is that what
talking
you
about
use to,
space.
like, and like, make you feel good while you're doing these runs, just
Yeah,
to keep your
because I'm
focus
just
up?
like I'm super used to just talking to people while running, so it's a big change for me all of a sudden just watching the game, not looking at chat and not interacting with people. So it's like I need at least something in the background or I'm just gonna go crazy.
I absolutely feel you there. I need to be talking to people or doing something, otherwise I just silence. So tell us, that run, how did you feel about it? Because I saw you scan through your splits as it ended.
Nah, it's not a very good run, obviously. I
I
mean,
thought you felt that. Yeah, I was thinking
yeah,
that.
there's been a lot of paces on the marathon during the marathon already, either by me or old school that were like way ahead of this just early on. There was a lot of time loss in the late game, but I mean, all in all, I'm just happy that I was able to break it during the event, and I'm hoping that tomorrow is going to be even more fruitful, and that there's going to be other people that also either break their PBs or even like break my old PB or my current PB. I just hope that runners keep on pushing themselves, and I love to see it. I love to see the effort, and it makes me really happy seeing this kind of a competition, essentially.
I was gonna ask you that because this entire event, all we've been hearing from are us hosts and community casters about what we feel about the standings of everyone. Who are you most scared of right now? Like I don't know how much of the event that you've caught, like even like in your off time, if you have had any chance at all. I'm pretty sure you're just practicing. Like, who are you most threatened by to like
I'm.
take?
And it has to be runners. You can't say you're scared of me, even
Oh,
though I know you are.
I
Has
mean,
to
I
be
am.
runners.
I was gonna say Miyazaki because he seems to have a thing for me at this point. But I mean, I'm not gonna name like one person because I think everyone's just improving a lot. You see that with Gentov getting better and better. Hopefully tomorrow he'll do even better. You see Nax losing runs to Firestorms and Gwyn. You see Dan that PB during the event already. I think anyone has the potential to make it like really high up in the rankings in the final rankings, and um I just gotta be on the lookout and try to do my best to beat my current time, pretty much.
Okay, so your current time. I know you were most worried about Gaping Dragon Foggate Skip. You got that first
Hmm.
try, so
Yeah.
that was great. What are you looking to improve now? Like, where do you feel like you can optimize your run to maybe even like? Are you looking to get a record again, or are you just looking to keep your place? Because, like you said,
Well,
you
I
have other
mean,
runners on your heels.
yeah, I think me improving this time or the time that I had by 4 seconds doesn't really change the odds of me being first or not.
Mhm.
I think whoever was able to beat 102.34 can beat 102.30, and I think it will happen tomorrow. But essentially, the early game itself is not great. It's definitely one of the slower ones that I've had in the event. Actually, not having chat and being able to focus on the game has improved my early games a lot. So I've been getting some really fast paces. This was not one of them. And then there was a lot of mistakes that I've done through this run, but I was like, I don't need a perfect run, essentially. Like I got annoyed at Stray. I really messed up there. Lost like 10 seconds or something. And I was like, I don't need a perfect run. I just need a run that will beat my current PB or even the event PB that I had set. So I was like, let's keep it going. Let's just play. Let's see how it turns out. And once I was in a very comfortable pace heading into late game, and I got 4 kings and everything, I was like, okay, this can happen. And I feel like a little bit of nerves definitely played a role. And I just made some silly mistakes in the late game that cost me quite a bit of time. So I'm looking to hopefully be calmer tomorrow, feel a little bit more relaxed, and kind of polish those out.
I saw that you were definitely trying to like you were making those split second decisions. Like you didn't get the RT star set up in the kiln for Gwen, and you just kept going. You were like, "There's no time to stop now to even go back for it." And even like you're not even doing the quit outs for Priscilla for the moon glitch.
Yeah, I that's because I've tried the setup that runners use, and it could be that I've done it wrong, but I've got a moan with it as well. So I was like, I might as well just not do the setup and just try it. I mean, worst case scenario is just another reset. So
Okay. So you're feeling good.
yeah, I'm looking forward to sleep at this point, I suppose.
Not
Yeah.
cracking under the pressure. Remaining
Ben.
calm and collected.
Do you have any questions for Catalyst?
How does it feel to know that you've got your boy English Ben in your corner right from the start?
I feel like you're full of, sugar, honey, ice, and tea. To be honest, I feel like when I think back to SCM and when I think back to the relay race, you are not the most loyal fan, to be honest. So,
Hey, I am loyal to whoever deserves it at the time, which is usually who's winning. I am proud. I'm a proud glory supporter. You see.
oh, that's fair enough.
Well,
Yeah, because it allows me to support several different people at once. I'm sharing my love everywhere.
Oh, what a charmer.
Yeah.
Catalyst, I do have to ask you, and maybe this might be the final question. What is your goal? What time are you looking to get? You said that wasn't the best run that you could possibly get. What are you hoping for?
So if I look at my splits, I was plus 70 seconds away from some of best. So I feel like 30 seconds off of that could still be shaven off. So we're
Okay.
looking at a low 102 or like super high 101. I feel like that's as far as we can push it. And as far as it's going to be fun to push, right? Because you always have to consider the balance. Like, you can always push the time because the limit's never where you think it is. But the question is it really going to be fun? Is it going to be worth your time if you spend half a year grinding one category to death and then 2 months later a new strat is found and like all of that was not necessarily meaningless, but you could have spent it in maybe other places, expanded your repertoire or whatever. You have to balance these two things out, and yeah, I'll just see. I'll see how the runs go and see where it takes me.
But we're gonna expect you to be grinding tomorrow as well.
I'll try my best.
Okay. All right. Well, Kata, I was gonna ask you, but I kind of maybe have already gotten my answer here. Whether you wanted to continue and be a guest caster for some of this event, but you did say you're retired, and I'm sure like the nerves after that run, maybe you do want to just dip out and get some rest. But you tell me.
I mean, I'm totally down for something tomorrow if it's possible.
Okay.
But tonight, I'd rather take the rest of the night off and just go to bed.
As soon as I leave, Katar will be sure to join back, I reckon.
No,
continuing our rivalry.
So then, I think this is going to be a perfect place for us to take an ad break. Catalyst, congratulations again on the
Thank
world
you so
record.
much. Thank you.
Really well done. We will be seeing you probably tomorrow. So for everyone watching from home, we are going to be taking a quick ad break. It'll be 3 minutes, so please feel free to stretch, get some water, get some snacks, and we will be back very briefly. Stay tuned.